Welcome everyone to a Delco Nerd Network Hot Take. Guys, if you haven't seen a hot take before, well, it's where a few friends get in a basement, give our thoughts, give our opinions on a TV show, a movie, or a game. Today, it's going to be a game, and that game is God of War Ragnarok. My name is Anthony Ragucci, and here to discuss, as always, the triple threat, Chris Trio.
Gooch, how are you?
I'm doing well. Final review of the final podcast, not just review, final podcast, final stream of the year, and I'm hell as glad to have Nick McGinley back in the middle seat, returning for the second time. If you guys watched the Hustle Hot Take, he was on that.
Absolutely.
Nick,
recurring guest.
Thanks for coming back, man.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, guys.
You coming back,
End of the year pod.
Absolutely. Finishing off strong.
Obviously, we're all very passionate about here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, God of War, you cannot go wrong.
Oh my gosh.
But did I interrupt your finish?
No. I was gonna actually ask, can I start us off?
I was literally about to tee you up, Gooch. What were your first off, full spoilers on this whole podcast, just to give everyone a marker. We're just gonna kind of go where the convo leads us. So play the game. I mean, if you haven't, it's been 2 months. But
yeah,
Gooch,
Game of the Year nominee, 7 out of 9.
Absolutely.
Come on, let's do it.
I mean,
7 out of 9.
depending on who you talk to.
7 out of 9 rewards.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, 7 out of the 9 nominations.
Good call. But Gooch, what were your broad stroke thoughts on God of War Ragnarok?
Hey, God of War 2018 was a fucking great game. So what do you expect less from its sequel? Another fucking great game. But I think I'm like just as high on it as I was 2018. I think this game is like just as polished. Its story is a smidge better, but I don't think it like really does anything grander that the first one didn't already do.
Sure.
And I guess that's what happens when you get a sequel to a really good game, right? Especially one that's kind of reusing assets, and it isn't like, it looks a lot better, don't get me wrong. The game looks phenomenal.
It's a very direct
like a
PS5,
PS5, but it sure as hell it's got some PS4 still embedded in that, and there we will definitely get to that later. But you know, this is a Game of the Year nominee, as every right to be. While it's not my Game of the Year, I really enjoyed my time going through the story. It's a good like 40-hour romp. I think like on average that's the time you're gonna get out of this. I was seeing less, and you can definitely put more. I was a total. I platinumed the game, and I was at literally 70 hours. And the post game was a little weak for me, and we'll definitely get into that as we talk about it. But Nick, what did you think, man?
I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. Game of the year, pretty much. I mean, it's one of my favorite games ever. So I played the first God of War pretty recently, I guess. Like, I think end of, kind of peak COVID, maybe. Got me through some tough times. But so I had that. I mean, it's pretty recent. So it was, interesting to see like the contrast from the original game. But I mean, I had so much fun playing it as someone who's not, a huge avid gamer playing tons of video games all the time. I was obsessed with it, playing like, probably way too much, but really good game. I mean, like you said, the original, it kind of expanded upon, and I agree. I think the story was just as good, if not a little bit better. And I think the characters they introduced was a big part of that too. Like having, like the right off the bat, Thor coming at you with that. I mean, that battle was awesome, right? So it's like,
the game starts off on a real high note.
Yeah,
right. Which is what you can do with the sequel, because the first game it kind of took a while to get into. I feel
you can hit the ground running a lot more easily.
We barely saw any of the
other
Norse mythology gods. Yeah, I mean, it was Baldur and Freya, and like
and Magni and Modi. That's it.
Right.
And they're basically like they're lesser gods that no one knows about. Yeah,
right. Exactly. But this is like, all right, we're showing everyone here.
We're giving you the whole rod and not the stick, if you know what I mean.
Easy.
No, that's cool. So did you know like anything like story wise, like spoiler wise for God of War, the first one when you went into it?
No, I didn't.
You managed to avoid it.
Yeah, you're like you said, you're not like the biggest gamer, and you're not on plugged in on Twitter.
No, that makes sense.
Right. So it makes sense you wouldn't know. Which is good.
That is cool.
I think I borrowed Ian's PlayStation to play Spider-Man.
Friend of the show, Ian Fitzgerald.
Yeah,
Ian Fitzgerald. Yeah, friend of the pod. Shout out Ian.
I love it.
Couldn't play it without him.
Yeah.
But and then he's like, "You should play God of War. You'll love it." And
no, absolutely, that's a good call.
Just love I love like Assassin's Creed games where you're taking like some type of history or like Norse mythology, so cool, like just taking that and running with it, and like
it has that real kind of reference point, like
exactly.
historical reference
and then you
point.
like look up stuff about real Norse mythology. You know what I mean? Like and like compare
especially
it to
since like the MCU is kind of everyone's.
they did so much better. This was so much better.
Norse mythology building block.
Yeah.
It's nice to have like look at the contrast, compare and contrast Thor, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're dealing with like two totally different characters.
Absolutely.
And that's really cool.
Yeah.
I will say, if you're just interested in Norse mythology, after the first game, I read Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology book.
Okay.
It's very cool. It's a very easy breezy read, and it kind of goes through a lot of them. Very interesting stuff. But no, that is cool. I did the exact same thing. I was like, I love this shit. I'm gonna look more into it, and that is always a really interesting thought to like go into. But yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed this game. Gooch, I can only echo with you on the story. I don't think there's that. There's obviously the big reveal at the end of God of War 2018 with obviously Atreus being Loki and things like that. I don't think you get that quite the same way in this, and I think that's what maybe kind of steps 2018 above the fold for me just a smidge. But no, gameplay wise, it's a very much an evolution of what we got in the first game, and I think that's when you're doing a direct sequel like that, it obviously makes sense. There's really cool and improved mechanics elsewhere. I think the combat was improved upon in like a way that made a major like physical difference to me. I don't think it was super unnoticeable, but yeah, just this world is so cool and just fantastical, and I love the art design of it. Like you were saying earlier, the music, McGinley, it just all ties together. The sound of your axe crashing into the stone, your blades of chaos whipping around. It feels so good to play, and I don't know if I've ever played a game that is as good story-wise as it is gameplay-wise as this game. Like, it is really a 50-50 shot. I have as much fun playing this game as I do watching this game, and I think that's a very tough feat to accomplish. But what do you guys think about, like, the portrayal of Odin and kind of that whole just family in general? Because I thought his introduction
very
was
different,
great.
very different, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like you didn't like you kind of. I mean, I don't want to keep going to MCU people.
It's a big reference point. It's tough to not.
What are you comparing it to? That's
Right.
Yeah.
But like, you think of Odin as maybe like a strong old dude, not like this really old manish, like wearing a cloak. Like, doesn't seem like
a bit more frail looking.
Doesn't seem like he could like physically hold his own. But and like from that first cutscene, you get the idea that he's like a man of his wits, like, and he that just is further exemplified throughout the game as you figure out like what he's up to and what he's doing and how he's deceiving the group. Not to just jump right into it yet, so I don't want to mention it.
Sure.
Yeah, I really liked it. I don't think there's a Norse god who I didn't like Heimdall. What a cunt, guys.
Was awesome.
What a real
cunt.
Yeah. We'll see you next Tuesday.
What a person. You're just like, wow, I don't like this guy at all.
Well, and I do think that is a major part of mythology in general. Is like gods kind of suck.
Yeah.
Like they're not great. They're not usually altruistic. Sometimes you'll get lucky and they'll do a nice thing by accident.
Right.
But for the most part, they're kind of looking out for themselves. And you're right. I think this really does a good job of kind of exploring that. Even like Thor's representation, we got a lot more out of him than I would have ever expected.
He was
Character
deep.
development.
Yeah, it was really cool just seeing his parallel to Kratos with Atreus and dealing with his own kids, and it was
And
a
his
lot
dad.
more. And his dad,
Right,
it was a lot
Daddy
more. Exactly, it was so much more exploration
Game
of
is
that character.
built on like dad issues.
No, it is dad
It
issues
is
and
father-son.
inner
Yeah,
family conflicts,
and even in the first series with the Zeus.
no, absolutely, and even just the way I feel like Kratos kind of comes out of his shell in this game.
He really does.
He talks a lot more. He's telling you about his past. It's cool to hear these reference points as he's going around.
Yeah.
He's really fully just being like, yeah, I was the God of War. This is what I did.
His
Yeah.
banter was definitely better in this.
And I
game,
was also in
say.
a fighting game called PlayStation
All-Stars.
All-Stars, yeah.
All-Stars. Or was it Mortal Kombat? Which one is it?
No, it's PlayStation All-Stars. So
Okay.
that, like Mimir asks him, he's like, "Oh, you fought in this
heard-
Coliseum with like a princess and like the master of music, which is Parappa the Rapper." Like that's what he's talking about.
Oh, wow,
And
I
he's
didn't
like,
know that, yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
he's like, "I will not speak of it."
Yeah, that was awesome.
It's so good. Even dude, Christopher Judge, I do think he majorly deserved.
That's Kratos.
As
Yes.
Kratos.
Yeah,
I think
he
he
won
deserved
Best
that
Performance.
that
Okay.
award.
I mean, he was incredible.
he did an
Yeah.
amazing performance, and even just
Especially towards the end, and because
Dude.
that was one thing I was asking you on our Game Awards review because I hadn't beaten it yet. I'm
Sure.
like, does the end really solidify that win? And you were like, yeah.
I
And I'm
think
like,
it
yeah,
does.
I see
I
what you
mean,
meant.
yeah, it's he is really great. Even just my favorite part of and I feel like people have memed this before, but is at the beginning when he's like, "Do you accept?" and he just goes,
no.
Like the way he says no
yeah.
is, I don't know why, but the delivery just made me chuckle. But it was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, even his development with Atreus and kind of the flipping of, well,
Opening
Atreus
the
is the
heart
one with secrets now,
Right.
and Kratos is the one that kind of just has to trust him. And
Yeah.
it's a very cool and interesting dynamic, and I loved seeing Atreus kind of fully form, and his voice threw me off. It is so funny.
You can tell that
Atreus?
when they do the flashbacks.
At the beginning, when
Yeah.
it's funny you see that at the beginning, when they do the flashbacks of you hear young Atreus
Oh,
and then
yeah.
old Atreus,
Yeah.
it's obviously
It was
a
a
kid who went through
it
puberty,
was
but
a subtle difference.
no,
but
absolutely.
you can tell.
What did you guys think about like Atreus overall for this whole game?
I mean, he didn't annoy me as much as he did in the first game, probably. I know that's
Okay.
like how it's supposed to be played. But
Sure. No, yeah.
I was taking his side more often than not, I feel like, when he was,
That makes sense.
going against Kratos. more or less.
Absolutely. Yeah. What about you, Gooch?
Yeah, I kind of like understood where Kratos was coming from in a way.
Absolutely.
Like for some reason. Like,
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah.
Less so than I did with like when it was the opposite. Atreus, like Sonny Suljic, has a lot more room to play with his character in this one. Like in the
Right.
first one, I don't really think Atreus is like, I'm like, like you're saying, like he's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Because he's a little kid.
He's a little
But
kid
in this
learning his
one,
way. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no
He's
depth.
much more of a main character. He's got a lot more purpose in the story, and he gets a lot more room to play. Probably more so than Kratos.
No,
In
this
this game, I would
game
agree.
kind of feels almost like his story more than
Agreed.
Kratos,
Yeah,
for sure.
agreed.
And you know, when you guys jumped into his shoes for the first time,
So
were you
awesome.
like, oh shit, is this gonna be like, you know, real quick? Am I gonna play as him? And then you do that one section, and then you get to Ironwood, and then it happens again, and then
Yeah.
it's like, oh no, like Atreus
the
is
thing.
like a
Switching, yeah.
yeah,
He's a
you're
full-on new playable character.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah, no,
right.
he has his own movesets. He has everything. I mean, that was kind of one of those moments of like, duh. Like, why would? Of course they do this. That makes
Yeah.
it feels
Right.
like such a natural progression and something you would have seen maybe in if they did decide to break this up into 3 games in the third game or more, or maybe it would feature
Yeah.
more prominently. But no, I really liked playing as Atreus, and I really thought his different moveset was interesting and how they kind of equated that to Kratos.
I didn't mind playing Atreus. What I mind was the pacing of his portions.
Sure.
I didn't
Yeah.
really like, I'm going to go back
was
to
all or
Sindri's
nothing.
house, and
Yeah.
I'm getting pushed into his stuff, and I can't
Yeah.
do anything else.
Yeah.
And then...
It took a long time. I mean,
And
the
then- sure.
Ironwood level was...
That's what I was
Was it-
going to
yeah,
say.
it was a
little-
The first section when you're in Midgard, fine. It's like an
That was fun.
hour, 20 minutes.
Yes.
But then getting to Ironwood, you're in there for like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a little
Pick
too
these
long.
apples. I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to knock
And
some
then-
guy's
oh,
heads
so
off.
I
I
gotta
don't
get
want-
off this fucking yak again.
I
and
know,
fight
I'm
these
like,
guys.
Jesus.
And then,
Yeah.
there's the grandma.
I mean,
now
it
we're gonna
was-
go to the
It
grandma.
was
thing.
adding to the depth of his story and giving some
Right.
background, right?
It's again. It's
I
just
think
like
that
the
just
pacing
kind of
of
shows
it.
you how much fun it is to play as Kratos. In
Yeah,
my opinion,
true.
Yeah.
like I really think it's funny. I do agree with you guys. Looking back, that I think that is a little bit lengthy. It didn't bother me that much for some reason in the
It was
moment.
good.
But no, it definitely wasn't as like shocking as like I don't know, like Spider-Man 1 when you switch to Mary Jane.
MJ.
And
You just have to,
I'm like,
run through the
this
that
isn't
sucked.
even sort of the same. I
Really-
feel like
really
you're taking me
breaking.
out of this. I
Exactly.
just want to get back into it. But no, I hear you. I do think they do a good job of using those as really good character building moments.
Yeah.
But I think the Ironwood probably could have been cut a little bit. What do you guys think of like Agrabota, like as like a little side character?
She was chill.
Yeah, you know.
I mean, good,
I enjoyed her.
Good to move the story along.
For sure.
kind of.
It's funny. I thought she was going to be involved more. I guess she does kind of end up being more
a
involved
pretty
than
big-
you would
yeah.
have
She's-
expected.
Is that like classic Norse
Yeah,
mythology as well?
you know,
I
it's
have
funny. I
no
don't
idea
know
who
if
that
she's
character
part of it.
was.
I didn't look her up at all. But
So she's like the essentially like a like a prophet.
yeah. So how do
And
giants work?
she's
Can I
gotta,
ask
like,
this really
paint-
quick?
Right.
Yeah.
Why is she small? Her
So I
grandma's
think
huge.
that
I don't
what
think giants
gathered
are
from it-
actually giant.
Well,
I think
some
some
of
of them
them
are.
Well, that's the thing. So, but the way her grandmother talked to him, they almost seemed. It seemed like they looked down on the smaller giants.
Makes sense.
Because the way the grandma was like, you came out like she said something like you came out like that instead of. So I guess you can be born a
giant
regular
or-
giant or just a small
Like a
regular
Atreus
person.
or-
Yeah,
or
exactly.
a Fae.
And I guess it depends on who. Yeah, you mate with. Anyways, it
And
was
Thor's
just
half giant, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's something I did forget. It was funny when they first showed Thor. I thought they were going to kind of go shorter on him for some reason.
Yeah.
But then proportionally, you see him.
I love the
he's
fat
obviously
Thor.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
it's
he's a
very
drinker.
much the red hair, hair,
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
Yep.
It's good. It's good. What did you guys think about just spending time in Jotunheim a little bit more and like kind of figuring out like that whole side of the story? So I didn't even like pick up on the snake thing.
Dude, neither did I. I told him I'm
it's
like
wild. That's
right over my
Well,
head.
but it makes
In
it
the
does
moment.
make total sense when you look back on it, but it
Yeah.
is
And I'm
something I
like,
was like, oh.
I was wondering how they were going to connect that in. So okay, maybe explain this just so I can
Sure.
follow
yeah,
it. But
we can put it out.
Yeah.
the legend was that like Thor and Jormungandr, and hits him so hard he sends him back in time essentially.
Correct, yeah.
So the Jormungandr that you see in the first game all the time, and like he's in this game, is different than the snake is Jormungandr.
Yes.
But that's the snake from Jotunheim fighting Thor.
Correct. They are both the same snakes.
Correct.
Yes. So the one that is on.
But Jormungandr can exist in present time before.
Well, so this is that's the thing. So this is the paradox thing of like, okay, he has to take part in that fight to get sent back in time by Thor, and that's why he even recognizes Atreus at the beginning of the first game. He's like, why do I feel like I know you? Oh. And he mentioned, and because if you play a little bit more, Mimir actually kind of lays this out as you're like going through in the end game. So for some reason, some giants decided to, I guess, to hide from Odin, like remove their souls from their body and put them in these like marble things, and Atreus can manipulate those souls, and he puts it into the snake, and so that seems to be the snake that somehow made it to Asgard, fights Thor. Well, it's him. Fights Thor, then he gets sent back in time into Midgard, and that snake is still sitting in Midgard. Right. The one that the present day Jormungandr. Right. So that was interesting. I thought again, not something I didn't quite understand.
I really didn't pick up on that when he first put the giant soul into the snake, because it's like, oh, that makes sense because a giant has a vendetta against Thor, and that giant is now in the snake.
And they did say that Jormungandr was a giant, even in the first game.
Which didn't really make sense.
Right. It's very interesting.
I just assumed just because he was big.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
Oh, he's big. He's a big snake, so he's a giant snake.
By race, I guess. Or
that's very racist of you, but it's fine. I'll let it go.
By size.
What? I'm a giant because I'm big? What?
Are you sizist?
So something that's also weird is in the first game when I don't know if you guys have seen this, when you're taking Atreus to Freya because he's sick or whatever. Then someone blows the horn, and they never address it in that game or in this game.
Well, no, so that they do. They mention. I think that's Baldur who uses the horn at that point. They say it. They do explain that, and that's not the Gallon. That's the one that they used to call him at the beginning of the game. Yeah, but I think because or maybe it's one of the other gods, but they do. I'm pretty confident, explain that at some point. Because I remember at the end of the game,
and then maybe I just didn't catch it when they were talking. Mimir probably explained it.
But I could be wrong, but I'm pretty confident it was supposed to be Baldur. But I thought that was again a very interesting use of Norse mythology and how you kind of tie that all together. Do we want to talk weapons a little bit?
Dude, you're reading my fucking mind.
Well, I was just gonna say, did you think it was harder playing as Atreus?
Yes, for sure.
Because you're used to slashing and hacking, and then you have to stay back.
On Give Me God of War, he took 2 hits.
Sure,
I could barely get hit.
Yeah. But I mean, that makes sense.
I would imagine I'm like, well, he's weaker than Kratos.
When he tries to punch open the thing,
that was funny. That was a good
really
one.
Funny.
That was awesome.
Yeah. There were a lot of.
Is he gonna?
There are a lot of good. Not to jump off.
No, that's fine.
There's a lot of good comedic moments in this game. Like Mimir
kills it.
I think shines a lot.
Great
more.
moments of levity.
Sindri,
and you really feel like he's bonded with Kratos and Atreus, and even maybe not bonded with Freya, but
they knew each other.
He cares for her. I think
knows
genuinely. Yeah.
So I like how they bust his balls a lot and like being the smartest man alive.
Yeah.
A really good twist at the beginning that I really didn't see coming was the bear. Was him turning into the bear. I mean, it makes total sense.
Dude, and then when you're fighting at the what is it? Not the throat of the world. The
edge of something where they go to see Surtur, where they do the thing with Surtur.
Where Surtur becomes Ragnarok. Yeah, and then they do the video game back to back.
That was sick.
I'm
glad they let you be the bear, at least.
And I thought that was a great little because I'm like, okay, so what are they gonna do for his rage mechanic? And I'm like, he's just the wolf or the bear. That was really good. But weapons wise, so
dude,
we got a new weapon, boys, which I really did
not see
expect
coming.
At all.
Took me a while.
It did a great job of hiding it,
and it's
really
introduced about 2/3 into the game.
Yeah.
It's like I like how we start off. Okay, we got the shield, it breaks, but we still got the shield.
Yeah. And there were different types of shield too that you could use. I forgot, but
that was a good. That wasn't in the last one, I don't think.
No. The shield wasn't customizable at all. No. So that was a totally new gameplay mechanic that they introduced. But obviously we had the Blades of Chaos, the Leviathan Axe, and Dropnir. I think
the Dropnir spear.
The forging of Dropnir, I think, is my favorite scene from the game.
Agreed. It's so cool. Yeah, I didn't even know how they were going to do it.
if
that whole level was great.
You're going to forge a weapon, like that's really not what you expected.
No, not at all. You
Nope.
get this mermaid come out and just magically forge. And I thought it was a cool idea. Like, I guess the Dropnir ring, they explained at some point, was like a gift to Odin.
The Herder brothers.
They made it that it just keeps recreating. Every once in a while, it recreates 2 more rings. So I guess they combine it with the spear, and then you just have unlimited spears. And it's so good because, he's a fucking Spartan. Of course he'd have a spear.
Yeah.
It was.
Brock's like, you know how to use that thing? He's like, it was the first weapon I learned how to train.
It's so good because it was funny. I was seeing those, like, the holes for the spear the whole time that you can use to get. I'm like, what is this upgrade gonna be? Yeah. When am I gonna get? I truly did not think we would get another weapon. So that was really cool.
I didn't see that coming, and that was what I was kind of thinking. I was like, I mean, like we've said a few times now, the gameplay's great, and Dropnir just kind of makes it
adds
better.
another layer.
One thing I wasn't too hype on, the relics. There's too many of them, and I don't feel like they're all useful. You gotta
are the relics the things that allow you to do different attacks with the
hilts
weapons
and the swords?
that
wasn't in the last game either.
The L1
it
circle.
was they had similar-ish types of things like where you could upgrade your that was one thing I think we talked about. There's a bit too much stat management in this, the way of like, all right, I have this little spearhead that ups me 5 strength and this, that, or the other, so it gets a little bit too in the weeds, but I did find by the end I did understand it. And the relics, I agree. You're just kind of looking at. You're like,
so many.
What's the stat? Like, okay, this I'm not doing it because of how this looks.
I like
this
Bifrost
increases my
one that I throw, and I just kind of stuck with that one the whole game. And maybe I switched over to 2 or 3 more.
And then
but
what
then
are
you get like so many. I'm like, this is unnecessary.
You're talking about like the hilts, not like the things that allow you to do like different special moves, right?
No, I'm talking about correct. The hilts.
The hilts and okay, that just affect
not the
it'll
do
like a time, like you can
the time freeze thing.
That was like the best one. I feel like
the relics, that one was
realms.
absolutely my favorite. Yeah, those were in the last one too. You had something you could press B with and it would do certain things and heal you and stuff.
The certain hilts, like the hilt of the 9 realms or whatever, would also do a time freeze thing.
Right, one's an electric one.
That's right.
Like they had,
but also the relic had the time.
Sure,
right. Or the one when you beat the Berserker King, that one's good.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that one's really
that's the best one. I mean,
and even Heimdall gives you the one that slows everything down, right? Yeah, that one's
a good one.
That one's probably the one I use the most. I did like, I can't remember, not the relics, but the things that allow you to do those different special attacks. I felt like you could. There was one with like the axe that I used a lot, where you just kind of send it down and you explode everything around you.
The weapons, LBs and RBs, heavy runic
attacks. That's
the
what
runic
they're called.
attacks.
I think that's the whole game right there.
Right. I think like, just like in the first one, like comboing them and doing different moves with them, and now switching between Dropnir's runic attacks. They're great, and they're paced very well through the game. I don't feel like you're like getting them all at once really quickly, because sometimes like I'm like, dude, I want to use one for a little bit and then switch.
Well, what did you find that you were using the least weapon wise?
Like,
because it's funny. I felt like
very evenly.
I felt like I was kind of not avoiding, but I wasn't using the Leviathan as much as I wanted to. Near the end, I felt like I was using the spear the most.
Yeah.
Then probably the Blades of Chaos. Then right after was the Leviathan. I feel like I kind of made a conscious effort to use it more by the end, because I had just kind of not even forgotten about it.
You just got it.
Exactly, and I do think the combat system in general has a very good flow to it, in which you can flip,
you can switch
through to different
seamless.
weapons.
But
at
I didn't
any
use.
time.
In the first game, I remember using unhanded more.
Oh yeah,
but or unarmed.
No, I agree.
I really did not use unarmed.
So I actually used it a lot at the beginning of the game for certain enemies, because it was much easier.
Stun.
Yes, it would stun them, and then I could execute them immediately.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. I think that was because now we have 4 options. I guess something.
It just seems like,
and even the shield strike, like you know,
no, it's really good.
The double tap.
What shield did you guys use? I
Dauntless whole game.
Was that the one that's like parrying heavy?
Yep.
I think I used the same one.
Whatever the one, maybe it's the Ron, but whatever the one where basically it would give you like unlimited time to do the shield strike, like the to break it up. You know when
that's
the blue rings comes up?
That's the Rond.
Was it the square one or
I think it was circle?
Circle. Gotcha.
So you start with the Stonewall and the Dauntless.
I used the Stonewall a lot in the beginning, and then I think I changed it.
Yeah, the Dauntless. I'm a parry king.
I was super heavy parry too.
I need to parry, especially on Give Me God of War. Like I need the ability to do that. It like gives me the upper edge. And plus, I did a lot in the first God of War, so I was really used to it.
For sure.
Like you think I'd be on the highest difficulty, so I go with the defense. I'm like, nah. Like I need the offense.
No, that makes sense, because you do need to put the pressure on this, especially with like the bosses.
So
and the berserkers
I didn't really like I tried like the Star Shield, and I'm like, I don't really like this. Like,
Yeah,
I
to be
never
honest-
used the Stonewall shield. I switched back to the Circle Shield. Like,
There was one you could
once.
charge with, right? There was. I did
Yeah.
like how they all had different abilities.
Yeah.
The parry one was
Right,
for sure.
just
my
kind
favorite.
of the same issue with the relics. Like, you get your one and you stick with it.
Sure.
I don't know what else to say.
I definitely think the relics are the most weedy ones in the way of like, all right, there's like
there's way too
50
many.
of these.
Oh, you're talking about like the slots,
the
that you have
hilts
to
and
put-
stuff
Oh
and
my
things like that
gosh.
that you could put on and like the different handles and stuff
know.
for your.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming.
It
and,
is.
And
That-
then
There's already enough customization.
the amulet
It's like-
is another mechanic that kind of gets in the weeds of like, I don't know why God of War needed to go like more RPG, like getting into the menu. Like, holy shit, that menu is one of the worst looking things I've ever seen in a video game. Like, it's so, they just fill the screen. Like, there is information everywhere.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm like you don't really care about your fucking stats. You're just using
Yeah.
whatever.
I would say
Well,
definitely
what do you
for
focus on,
That's
you
the
know?
thing. I would
but
say
even
definitely
I
for
didn't really min max.
No, I agree. I think stat wise, I like the menus a lot for like the tasks and like going through your lore, and I liked his
Yeah.
journal and stuff like that a
Yeah.
lot. When it came to your equipment menu,
Yeah,
I
I
was
meant the
not a
equipment
fan.
menu.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was.
it's
I do
cluttered.
think it's just there's too much going on. By the end, I did understand it a lot better.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, I was just kind of like, all right, I have this hilt on. I upgraded this one hilt. I'm not gonna worry about the others. But then by the end, I had so much fucking stuff that I could literally upgrade.
How
every-
much money did you have? How much hack silver did you have?
dude.
I had like over
Did you
a
guys
million
like stick
easy.
with one armor, or did you kind of cycle?
I-
Because I
I-
kind of mostly stuck with the same one.
I cycled
Which
a lot.
one?
It was like the red and it kind of crossed the shoulder. It was red and like orange one I finally.
The dragon one?
No, it wasn't dragon. Fuck, what was it? It was one of the like good
Muspelheim?
ones. It might have been the Muspelheim one. It was
That
like
one has the
it
one
was like
shoulder
the
and it looks like a piece of like
no,
molten rock.
it was like one of the ones that kind of cross above and he has two shoulder things on
Okay,
and like it
those
kind of
ones.
goes down. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't like those ones.
Most
Those
of
Really?
the game.
fashion over function, baby.
See, that's what I like those ones. I liked how it looked, so that's what I just stuck with.
What was the one? It's like I forget. It changed colors once you upgraded it enough, but it was like
Interesting.
It was.
I
Like,
used the Berserker one too a lot too
Yeah,
after I
so
got
it's
that.
like
I think
I'll
that
be
is
using
like
that
the
one.
best balance set in the game. The
Interesting.
Berserker set.
well, the
Yeah.
one that's like just ups your defense. It gives you like 150. So I would wear that as the what is
The chest.
The chest.
Yeah.
yeah, and then like combo the waist.
I didn't
guard
really
and the
understand
bracers.
why just the bracers and the pants comboed. each
Probably just
other.
to allow you to use
To do more
not using
combinations of
full
things,
sets.
so that way it's not dependent on you using the whole entire
What
set.
also was
Sure.
the point of like once you upgraded enough, like you can change your armor to look like any of the armor. Like I
Yeah.
don't know. I
Oh,
Yeah,
so I
that's-
think that's just more.
It's like
towards the end of the game.
It's like a thing games have now.
Okay.
I
Where
feel
it's
like
you
that's
want
all it
what
is.
you.
Well, you
Yeah,
wanna
it's
look
kind of
cool.
like
I
a
want it to look like
transmog.
this, but I want
but
the
I want
stats
these
to
stats.
do-
Like the comments I just made. Like I was
Right.
picking fashion over function. I just
Yeah.
wanted
the
what
one I
looked
used was
cool.
like, and it doesn't look bad either. And I was
Well,
like,
and it's
all right,
funny,
that's
even
good.
like Cyberpunk with its last update introduced this thing where it's like clothing options. So you have what you have on, but then you have your wardrobe, so you can put basically a skin over that to make yourself look how you want,
Okay.
while having the stats you want. That seems to be a big issue with RPGs in general.
Yeah,
but
and God of War, is,
very light. It has
even
a ton
though
of RPG
people
elements.
don't, go, yeah, God of War is an RPG. It really is, and
See, if this is,
I don't really think it needs to be.
do you think this is more of an RPG than Elden Ring?
Yes, absolutely.
I disagree wholeheartedly. I don't
Yeah.
see. That's what I think that's interesting to me, because I think you can call almost every game, open world game, or even just story game, has some type of RPG elements in it where you're upgrading your character.
wait. Maybe I'll take that back.
That's right. I swear. to God.
He's
Yeah, Elden Ring actually you need to deal with your stats a little bit more.
Like that's.
in-depthly
I feel
than
like if
God
you
of
wanted
War.
to play this on even medium and not worry about any of that shit at all,
Dude, I played on
think
Give
you
Me
could
God
probably
of
tell.
War, and I really didn't worry about
until
it.
the
Yeah,
end
that's
when
what
I
I'm saying,
really had
yeah.
some tough bosses where I was like, give me something that's gonna help
Yeah,
me.
Yeah.
Like maybe more.
What's her name?
defense or-
Gna.
Gana.
Still haven't.
Like,
can't beat it.
I want some ganache.
holy shit! It took me
all I
like it took me from like 9 o'clock to like midnight to.
I'll
beat
just
it.
like go try it, like walk away for an hour or two, come back, try it.
Did you
again.
play on not the one below? Give
I'm
Me God
on-
of War
yeah, same
2?
one
Yeah.
you did, yeah.
Yeah, no,
was definitely
it
hard.
took me a while. It was funny. I finished up I basically finished everything before I finished her. So that way I had like the Berserker armor fully upgraded. I had my Leviathan, all my
Everything
weapons
9.
upgraded.
Yeah.
So it was annoying. It took me a couple days, but I didn't feel like I was like hitting the one.
still fun. I
No,
mean,
for sure.
yeah.
But you know,
When you
you
lose, you're like,
the ultimate enemy of a game, in my opinion, is frustration. When you start getting really
There's
frustrated,
like a happy medium.
it can, absolutely.
So,
it can really kind of ruin an experience.
Here's my issue with Gana and that battle. It's like they're trying to be like Dark Souls or like Elden Ring with like this really intense boss with a lot of mechanics that you need to memorize. and like really hit this skill threshold that I don't think every player is going to hit on higher difficulties.
No, for sure.
And it's a lot of reused mechanics from Sigrun from the first one.
For sure.
So I'm kind of just like rolling my eyes a little bit. And that was really my issue with the post game. Boss. There's 12 berserkers. Yeah. And by the time I hit 6 and I was into the post game, I was like, I don't really want to fight these fuckers anymore.
Yeah,
it's getting real annoying.
Fight 3 of them until you get, because you can't get to the Niflheim one.
Yeah, you can't get to the Niflheim
one. Like the twins in Svartalheim really took me up. Like those two.
That was the last one I did.
Took me a while, and then that was when I realized I'm like, I kind of wish I don't have to fight 3 more or 4 more of these guys. And then I got to Gana, and I was just like, I'm so bossed out.
It's so funny. Even the last Berserker really didn't give me a lot of trouble.
Yeah,
the one with the 2 sorcerers, and it was 3 people. It's like 2 sorcerers and a guy.
The sisters, yeah, it's a sisters,
and that really gave me
girl.
a lot. That was probably the one that I spent the most time on. Otherwise, I didn't feel too worn out by them. Maybe I spread them out a little bit better over the campaign, but I think I only had
12 optional bosses. That's a lot.
No, it is, but
that's
again,
a weird
more
amount.
than that. I mean, there's more than that, right?
Big word on there.
Yeah. Optional.
There you go.
Right. And I mean, then we get to the Raven Keepers and the dragons, and into the story you get to the Vanaheim, and I thought like the open worlds were good, and I was exploring them as I was playing very naturally,
right?
And then you free Freyr, and Vanaheim opens up, and I was so like, oh my god,
that is the last like major wide open.
Why open up this massive optional
stuff?
That
the crater
at the end of the game?
Or there's like 75% of the game.
There's so much in that, and I felt like I'm like, dude, I don't want to just skip over it, and I did all of it before I beat the game, but I was
there's
like,
a lot of money out there.
There's a lot of resources.
I think I did about like 80%, I would say, of that before I finished the game.
But I really felt like there was a lot of fluff there. I'm like, I don't think I need all this.
I think I did like pretty much the whole thing, everything that I could have right when like
I had to go back and do a few collectibles and stuff, but
see, I will.
The crystals, that was kind of annoying, having to go back to the pond every time.
See, that was a
huge.
That's an end game mechanic. That's just like, here's this thing you picked up, and now you have like unlimited resources.
Right.
Exactly. Whereas like when you get, like you were saying earlier, you have 1 million hack silver, and you have all the money you need for everything.
You never.
I did find that to be an issue at the end of God of War 2018 with trying to.
You ran out of money.
I was like, did you play it or something?
I think before, like probably a month or two before this.
I did.
Yeah, it was funny. I wanted to balance it. I didn't want to like finish it and go right into God of War Ragnarok, but I wanted to give myself like a month. So I finished that. I basically did the whole thing, but I do think the end game in this is much better than the first one for me personally. At least I felt more driven to go back to it. Like I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but the fucking Muspelheim trials in the first one, I was not a fan of.
Yeah,
it just they really annoyed me.
They
and
reduced
even like
it in this though.
I actually, it's funny. I didn't do Muspelheim like at all the entire game for some reason because I was kind of dreading it in the second one in Ragnarok.
Right, because you think it's
I was like, I thought it was going to be. I
did like 4 or 5 of them.
I got into it at the end, and I wasn't understanding the combinations to finish off the fucking thing at the end. It threw me off. But anyways, I was like, I got to
let you pick which one too. I was like, I'm just gonna do the
I
easiest
didn't quite
one
understand
every time.
exactly. It was odd, but I will say it felt more completable than the first Muspelheim trials. And I got to it, and I was like, oh, I wish I actually did maybe spend a little bit more time on this throughout like the game.
Yeah, I think the Muspelheim trials, like especially the final ones, I'm like, why is this like overly complicated? Why not just add like just more?
Yeah, I didn't think they were that like, I don't know, ones where you had the hardest one was like stay in the circle.
See, again, I was doing them all yesterday, and I was kind of hitting my cap. I was like, I don't really feel like
it's kind of like a fun, like, I don't know, if no one's played the game before and they're like, oh, what's this game about? I'm like, here, take this controller, like do these levels and just like kill all these dudes.
And I will say, you mentioned Fluff Gooch. I don't necessarily agree in the way of like, it is optional, and I don't think that last 20% is gonna really. Maybe it's not good that it won't very much add to your experience, but not having it, if you wanted to stop playing, you can just go through, finish the campaign, and if you want more after you're done, you can go back.
Right, like there is some cool post-game moments, like
there's a couple for
Brock's
sure,
funeral, and then the one where I really got skeptical about. Yeah, we'll definitely hit back into the story points. The thing I really got skeptical about was the Asgardian prison, and when you actually find the real Tyr, and I
didn't need it,
and I was like, what?
Really? I actually kind of like that part a lot.
I think, personally, I think I think it's cut content from the main story. I think they developed this very much adding it to the main plot and
like finding him in the middle of the game.
Yeah,
like going or maybe closer to the end.
It's so odd. It's so odd that it's even there.
I guess
it's like, oh, he's alive. Oh yeah, I'm here.
Well, no, and I think they kind of explain it right. They're like, well, I guess Odin needs these people to be alive if he's impersonating him.
I'm not saying it doesn't make sense lore wise. I'm saying it doesn't make sense with the game. Why leave such a I mean, the moment you find out Odin is impersonating Tyr is huge, and then to find out he's still alive, that's like just kind of just as big. And the moment's just like kind of we're just gonna like put it in the post game, and if you play and get to it, you do it, and if you don't, I guess you don't.
See, that kind of felt like Red Dead Redemption 1
but
to
it's
me.
not
in
like,
the way of like you don't
it's
you
not
think
like,
the game's over, but there's still some pretty good nuggets out there.
But it's not like there's this huge cutscene or this cool moment. It's just like you kind of just walk in there.
Sure, maybe they could have been.
And then you run into him like everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere else kind of like talking about everything.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
he's the worst.
Fuck Tyr.
Odin as Tyr. Also, I mean, I will say, didn't see it coming at all.
At all.
Wild.
No,
like,
no,
like
dude.
I would like
That
to go
was
back and
nuts.
see it and be like, oh, he's kind of like.
Well, it was funny. I was watching
it's
the
that
one
last
scene of
cutscene
when
that he really breaks.
He really does, and and it's funny those things.
Which
he keeps
cutscene?
calling him Loki, the one where he finally like and
the-
Brock's like
when he kills Brock.
Right. Yeah,
but
but
he calls him Loki, and
he even calls him that a couple times before
Tyr
that scene.
calls
He does.
Freya Frigg twice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So there are definitely a few little nuggets to it. But yeah, no, that was a great
And
reveal.
it's so
and even
funny
when
that,
you
like,
see
him
Dude,
watching
he was in the broom
prophecy.
closet the whole fucking time he was lying.
it makes total sense.
Raven.
He was, and like when Mimir's like he was using our empathy as a weapon.
Yeah.
Like I'm like that's why.
And he just sets them right up. Odin's like, don't keep looking for Tyr. Stop it. And they're like, no, we're going to keep looking for Tyr. And he fucking went right into his head.
So, and do you think I mean, did it have anything to do with like Odin like pretending to be him? Is that why he didn't fight at all? You know what I mean? Or was it just more of like keeping with the character?
You know, that's a good question.
I mean, he
I never
stabs
thought.
Brock, so
yeah,
I guess
the
but-
idea
Wait,
is
what was
every
the-
time
what was the
something
question?
happened.
Well,
like,
Tyr.
remember
sorry.
when he went and hid when like the realm tear
He's very
opens up and he's
pacifistic
like,
once you meet him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think that was because Odin was like? Do you think he could? You know what I mean? Like, or is that just his
I
character?
think that
Just
was
part
a-
of his character. Maybe he
that
was
was
using that empathy. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
convenient buy to go. Because he probably doesn't have Tyr's powers, so he can't really be the God of War. So
Right.
he's not going to fight.
It's funny. I think it's more so that way he
his-
doesn't have to be there for the fights, and that he
Right.
can be like, all right, you guys are going out. I'm just going to be the. I'm going to
clearly
be
it's-
toiling away my books and my broom closet.
It's just the guys. He doesn't actually have his abilities.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. But I mean, you'd assume he's
Interesting,
more
yeah.
powerful than Tyr, but obviously you can't.
Different.
The godlyhood stuff is interesting depending on their powers. They don't really, which I'm fine with. You don't need to give me the nuts and bolts of how their powers work, but you don't really know exactly. Like Heimdall obviously has foresight. Thor controls thunder and such.
Yeah.
And then even the other like Odin's just all seeing, I guess, and he can obviously mimic people, which is a big thing in lore. So. I sent a thing to our Discord channel. This guy, like, what was the name of it?
Python Falcon.
He
does a lot of Metal Gear Solid
He completely
theories.
called it with a theory
year
on
ago.
his thing like a year ago. He's like, "Is Tyr actually Odin in the new God of War trailer?"
Wow.
And it was like, "Yeah," because
And
it does
like the theory video was on point.
because there are a
Just
ton
from
of
the
Norse
trailers.
myths, I guess, where he takes other people's forms
Okay.
and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it makes total sense. But it was just so cool to see Odin as just this kind of almost mafioso head of a family.
The character was great.
Who's doing whatever he can to advance himself. And the whole little subplot with the mask, I thought was a great little nod, whether it was real or fake, to the mask. I love that. Like,
Like the movie?
yeah.
That's what they were saying. 'Cause
Did you know? Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah, of course.
Well, remember the mask is Loki's mask in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they say it's from Loki.
And it kind of
so-
looks like that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow,
I mean,
I didn't even catch that.
It was kind of like, I mean, I liked it. I didn't have a problem with it, but it was just kind of like
the mask thing.
kind of
Yeah.
anticlimactic, or just
Sure.
like, I don't know, like that, like. There's a new Rick and Morty episode that came out, and it's like, what's my motivation? Like, it's motivation. It just seems lazy.
So
like, what are we doing here?
Go, Gucci. Go
While
first.
we were talking about it, this was my big wow. That was anticlimactic with the whole game.
The
You know,
mask or the end?
The end.
Yeah.
like we have this big build up that like Kratos is gonna die, and I think I think everyone was pretty convinced Kratos was not coming out of it.
I was so scared.
See, by the end, I wasn't
scared.
because they were harping so much on that he was gonna die.
See, and that's why I think he was gonna die, because I'm like they're saying they're going to, but like that's not how shit works. But apparently, like in other games and other things, it's like they try to go.
But again, I think the whole
so you can't kill Kratos because they're gonna make another game.
Well, so it's funny. I said this in our Discord. I was like,
I
think I'm gonna. I was like, I would love it if Kratos dies, but I don't think he does. And I can't remember, you asked me something and you were like, well, isn't that a safe bet? I'm like, I don't think so, because he is such a, like, that look at him.
Come on.
He's got this, he's so recognizable. He almost might be their from a
PlayStation marketing standpoint,
that's what I mean.
You're correct.
That's what I'm saying. So,
so like when you do Ragnarok, and like the Ragnarok battle was sweet. And, you know, the way Thor dies is really cool. And we can get into all this a little deeper. I'm not just trying to push past it. But just for the point, and like the fight against Odin, and then Sindri getting the final kill, like what a moment. Wow. Also, I have a lot of opinions about Sindri.
We'll
but
come
like,
back to Sindri.
But like you get to the end, and that's it.
See, I love
it. And I was like, I was waiting for that thing. And Tyr and the Tyr Odin twist wasn't that thing for me.
That's what I was speaking to even in the first game.
Like, what's going to happen to Kratos? Or something going to happen to Atreus? And then Atreus is like, oh, I'm going to go have... like,
I'm going to go find the Giants.
I'm going to go find the Giants. But I'm like... But Sony Santa Monica said this was the last game. So what the fuck are we doing?
They said it's the last Norse mythology game.
Right.
In this space.
So
it's Ragnarok. It has to be. What else is there?
And Kratos becomes a god of peace. A god of like a god that's revered
god.
And does Thor is the one that says it to him, and Odin that says like Odin.
You don't know, no one's ever prayed to
and
you.
He's
right.
That's exactly what I thought.
He's right.
And
I'm like, wow. he is a god, but he's not Athena. He's not Zeus. He's not Tyr.
Gooch. We must be better.
Yeah.
We must be better. And I don't know. I see. It's funny. I say it's anticlimactic. But
that's
it. That's the whole point of it.
Kratos' turn.
It didn't really come down to Thanos beating up Odin so hard that he punched his face off.
It was about him not doing it.
It was about him not.
Thanos.
Oh, sorry.
Kratos.
Jesus Christ.
Kratos could kick Thanos' ass.
Yeah, we can talk about but it's not about the fight. It's about Atreus' choice to say fuck you. It's about because even the Fates, when they talk to them, they're like, you guys are making the choices, and human nature seems to always go the one way. It's going to be what it is. You can change it, but you're not going to change because it's human nature. And he changes it. Atreus decides, no, I don't need that knowledge. I don't need this. It really did.
Kratos spares Thor, basically.
It hit me so good personally. Anyways,
I like it, but like I think I was just the way the game is set up. That was what I. Jesus.
I'm sorry, we're excited.
That was what I was working my way towards. This, what's gonna happen at the end? And there's not that moment, and I think I was set up to feel like there was going to be that.
It's funny.
Right. Yeah. I thought that something was gonna happen that was going to end things, and it does the exact opposite of end. It, I guess Kratos is gonna like live in
Norway, Midgard, wherever that is. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be
Norway.
I like Norwegian better personally.
Norway, Denmark,
Slavic lands, wherever he is. Yeah,
and I'm just so like, if they make a game with Atreus, I'm like, is Kratos just not gonna be in it? Like these are the questions I'm asking. And I'm like, well, the director confirmed there's no DLC, so we're not coming back to this game. It's gonna be a new game.
There will be a new game where Atreus is finding the Giants. We're speculating.
There will be no DLC of Atreus. Like
for God of War Ragnarok, there will be no DLC.
So doesn't it seem like that could be like a DLC thing?
I'd rather do that post game than do all the bullshit stuff that rebuilding and stuff and like the remnants of Asgard stuff was I don't know.
It's something. Definitely, I think the end game is where this gets the weakest. I for some reason did enjoy it, but I do think it's a very
I enjoyed 2018's post game much more because there's less.
See, I feel like there's way more in the last one. Like when it came to I felt like there was like 120 ravens. You had to go through everywhere. Like I felt like there was so much more collectibles. Whereas this, I felt like I was really knocking off that list and feeling
collectibles
good
and
about
bashing my head against bosses is two different things.
Sure, and I guess
are you
that's
pro
the thing.
Collectible or pro boss?
I'm pro collectible. I mean, I don't even want to say I'm pro collectible, but I just find that like, I beat the game, and now like I'm actually like the place where I'm like smacking my head is the end.
Sure.
Like after the game's done, and I guess that makes sense, right? Because like the optional stuff is probably gonna be the hardest, which for the most part is.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't know. I just the way the game was paced was not my favorite.
Fair enough. No, I totally hear that. I think that's a very reasonable critique, to be honest. I think I see that a lot all over the place. And what did you guys end up finishing up at hour-wise?
70.
70?
I was close to 80.
I want to say I was...
Really?
I want to say I was like
suck
60
at
to
video
80
games in general. So.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good still.
There was probably some times where I just like left the menu open. Does
yeah,
that count
it's
as
funny.
time?
That's the thing. I don't know if it counts while you're paused or not, because I know certain games track it differently. But yeah, no, I think I was about there too, Gooch. I flew through. I think I beat it. I checked when I got the platinum like completely. It was a little over a month after, so that's when I had everything finished, and I probably finished the story about 3 weeks in. But
I think I hit a sweet spot like 2/3 of the way through the game where I was like, I mean, story-wise, nothing was that hard, obviously.
No,
right?
sure.
No, I actually liked
the two
how
Valkyrie
the
fight
main
was-
story bosses were not grueling.
yeah,
Right.
Especially
once or
on
twice.
Give Me God of War. Like Heimdall felt like a really good challenge.
He
Like,
did, yeah.
I really
I thought
liked
that was
fighting
kind of
him.
easy, honestly.
It was a little
It was
easy,
fun.
but
It was
I
fun.
don't
Sure.
I don't mind easy boss fights.
Agreed.
Sure.
When it's propelling the story forward.
Right, like
Yeah.
I'm having fun, and I died like maybe like 4 or 5 times
Yep.
during that whole thing, but I'm not like it's not like okay,
cutscenes
it's
stuff.
3 hours
Oh,
later.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, like and like I like how the bosses alone in this game. You know how many trolls you fucking fight in God of War 2018?
Yeah.
Like there's
a
12
lot
of
more
them.
variety. in
There's
this.
so much boss variety in this
absolutely.
game,
And
then,
even
like,
just enemy variety
I mean,
between the Einhanyar and like just the different enemies you can
the
go after.
Bifrost.
and
The
to be
yeah.
fair, to play devil's advocate, a lot of acid reuse. We
Of
see
course,
Sure.
but
right. I'm just pointing it out.
No, I
Gotta
hear
be
it.
said.
Yeah.
It's a fact.
Yeah, for sure. Like, would games do that with sequels before? Like, did
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed 2 use or Assassin's Creed 3 use Assassin's Creed like Revelations?
Probably maybe
assets?
animations, but
Yeah.
like for example, like Kingdom Hearts definitely carry it over
Sure,
stuff from the
sure.
first Kingdom Hearts, even
Yeah.
though they were like 5 years apart.
And this game was intended to come out earlier. I know they hit a few snags, that
So-
being COVID, Christopher Judge,
So,
his injury, and all that stuff.
Let's
so.
fucking talk about how this game is really, really pulled back by the PS4.
Well, yeah, and I think it's just it's funny.
And you played it on
Can
PS4.
you? Yeah. Can you? What do you mean by that?
so
I'll point it out. It's
yeah.
gonna be- it's gonna be
So
obvious.
just in general, did you feel like the game run well, like and
Yeah,
everything
I
like
did
that?
hear
Did
some
you?
stuff about how it was like loud. Maybe every once in a while, like the fan was.
Yeah, no,
The
but
PS4
like,
was about to take off.
Yeah.
You weren't running into any like gameplay issues. Like, was there chugging? Was the game
No.
it ran pretty
I
smoothly?
think one time something happened where it like kind of froze, or I was throwing the spear and it would just automatically disappear.
For sure.
And I just like reloaded it.
Actually, I ran into that exact same
when you
bug.
did, like,
I
the
might have
two
actually
times.
gotten
when you
that
did
too.
the towers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on here?
I
I'm
didn't
like,
like-
where- I'm like, and I kept. I'm like,
Yeah, and it wasn't doing
where'd it go?
Yeah. That happened when I was
So-
fighting one of the.
But did you? Okay, so that's cool.
Are
so
you-
yeah,
you're leaning. Are you leaning into it?
yes, I
Okay.
forgot what we were just about to say something.
The
I already
P-
was-
the
restricted by
PS4.
Oh yeah, so
Or
PS4
limited.
just when you're designing, and it's funny. I went on about this for like the last year just because I get annoyed.
Yeah,
that, like,
and in God of War, it's
And God of War, I
in
just
this
felt like there was
it's
one thing I was
apparent.
like, I would have hoped that they went right to the next gen. But it's when you like how you design a game. Like there's a lot of ledges that you're climbing over, and there's a lot of things that kind of slow you down to allow the world to load, shimmying, things
lifting
like that.
objects to go through things. It
Yeah.
allows the game to look
Right.
like segment
Yes,
and load.
it
another
hides
area.
the loading.
There's
Exactly,
so
correct.
much
So
of
there's a
that.
good amount. I didn't
There's a
find
lot.
that it was
Yeah.
intruding a ton on me, but that's one of kind of the drawbacks of still designing games for the older systems, where it's
Got it.
like you need to put in that
I mean,
those design elements.
One of your biggest gripes when this got announced was like the fact that it was on PS4. You were so
I was
pissed.
very adamant, just
you
'cause-
were so mad. It was
because I just was like,
gotta bring it up.
And no, it's true, and I do think it's fair, just because when they announced the PS5, Mark Cerny, when he gave his Power Hour, he said this machine is going to allow us to do things we could never do on the old one, and this is very much as by the fact that you played it on it.
Yeah.
This is very much still a game you could make for the last gen.
Oh, yeah.
Which
And it
again,
was
I
being
don't think
developed for the last
and it was,
gen.
and it does seem like this was it was supposed to be more of a PS5 launch title, so it was a bit more cross generational. So I'll accept that, and
Sure.
and the fact that the story did tie me in so much, I'll give him a tiny bit of a pass on
And,
this
I mean,
one.
it looks
and
great.
we do see it
and
does
plays great on the PS5.
I mean, it's
just
smooth
like,
as butter
Okay,
on
how
the
many more
PS5.
rocks do I have to pick up to fucking get through an area?
for sure,
you know?
and you definitely see those kind of seeds of it. I am happy to see this year at the Game Awards we got a lot of PS5, Xbox Series X exclusivity. It seems to be what
yeah,
we're really
we
kind
were
of finally
looking for
going ahead.
Pushing to the
what
next
games
gen.
are
Yeah.
still on last generation.
Because it's just like, why am I buying this console? Like, if I
Right,
could play
right.
this on PS4 too, which
Right.
and it sounds like you played it pretty well. Like it sounds like you
some-
had a
right,
pretty
like,
good. Of course,
for
you're
a
not going to
casual
get
gamer, like, I
exactly.
don't-
You're not.
right, I
That's
don't
all
know.
you need. So, yeah, it's just interesting to me. But I will say, the game still pleasantly surprised me. And it's nice to hear that it did run fairly smoothly.
Yeah, I mean,
I never expected it not to.
I didn't
for
think
sure.
you were going to be like, it ran like shit.
Yeah.
No, it was fine.
If that was the case, we would have heard it.
Well, especially as like you said, you're not as like maybe versed on the stuff as us, so you would like the big stuff. You will notice. Yes, exactly.
Right,
Like,
but now
if it's freezing, and I'm just like
now that I pointed out, it's like, oh yeah.
I think I did crash once on it for some weird reason. It was only once. I crashed, but aside from that, it wasn't an issue.
As much as I played it.
I mean, Jesus Christ, Gotham Knights, it crashed I think 10 times by the time I finished that game.
Yeah.
Not to shit on, just a quick shit on Gotham Knights as we pass by.
I think we've like tangentially brought up Gotham Knights like multiple times like because
these past couple reviews.
Yeah.
Because that's a next gen only game.
Yeah.
And it still runs like shit. Jeez. But anywho, what else was I going to say? What did you guys think about the whole Thrude kind of Atreus kind of dichotomy?
It was a fun.
I thought that was probably one of my more favorite character interactions. And I think she is a completely original character. I don't know. If
really? Okay.
Yeah.
So Thor.
I know Magni and Modi are from like Norse mythology.
Got it.
She's a totally original.
I'm gonna look it up. I don't think she exists.
I liked Thrude. When you go back to Alfheim, like she wields Mjolnir now, and she's gonna become a Valkyrie. I would love to see her kind of. If Atreus...
I put in third. Sorry, continue.
If Atreus does get his own game, like, obviously, Egrabot is probably going to be with him. Hopefully, Thrude will be too. I liked her character a lot. It was interesting to see him go to Asgard and kind of have this character that's on his level. Yeah. In a way. Maybe a little bit above as she's curious about him. And she
does exist. Sorry, she actually does.
They both like each other.
Mm-hmm.
And she's pretty chill about how he killed
she seemed to really not like Magni and Modi.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think she recognizes that actually both her parents are kind of pieces of shit. But Sif not as much.
Well, she just doesn't want her to be a Valkyrie so that she's not working for Odin, honestly.
Yeah,
which makes sense.
She was like the first god almost to be like outright that we see in this game to be like, what the fuck is Odin doing?
She's got a lot of hair.
Yeah. It's very long.
That's her thing, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was
her fight scene or the one that was a great. I like that level a lot.
Doing that Atreus part with Thor and you're kind of basically
it's the opposite almost.
Thor's your dad.
Yeah.
Thor's the dad now.
Yeah.
He's like, you could help,
and he's like giving him like father advice.
Yeah.
And
Atreus is kind of giving Thor advice, right? Based on the advice he gets from
Thor's like
Kratos.
kind of realizing like Odin is the problem. I'm not in control of my own actions. My dad is. And I'm a drunk. I have a fucked up family, and it's because of my daddy issues.
At the beginning of this, he's sober, right? Because after Magni and Modi are killed, he gets.
he brings mead.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right. But he's not getting like. He's not getting like shit faced like he did before. He seemed to kind of have it under control. Then by the end of the game, he's kind of going down the tubes. And again, just way more out of that character than I would have expected him. I kind of expected him to just be the thundering bad guy.
What's the actor's name? Guy from Sons of Anarchy.
He's really, he's good. I meant to say
Ryan Hurst.
Yes.
Yeah. No, he was fantastic. I really, everyone was
immediately. I was like, I know this guy.
Cast is really good.
I can't remember who plays Odin
as Laufey, who is
a little great
Daredevil.
Daredevil. Yep.
What did you? So that's something I actually did really like about that extra content that opens up in Vanaheim after. It was hearing her story about the fight she has with Odin
with the ice.
Yeah,
with bolt
again. You remember that, right? Yeah. So you learn that basically Faye fought Thor at one point with the axe, and I think even Sindri does mention at one point in this that they do build the axe as kind of a antithesis to Mjolnir, so that ever gets out of whack. But no, I thought that was very cool, and it was really cool to see Deborah Ann Wall as Laufey, just as a little. You've seen in like Daredevil and things.
Like, Daredevil.
Yeah, as soon as I saw her face, I'm like, her voice. Oh my god!
Those were some of my favorite moments in the game of just him kind of having the dream and just talking to her. It was really good.
It's really interesting how they still don't really tell you much about her.
No.
Like we do get a little bit more.
Maybe
I think that's all
in the Atreus game.
We had like a WandaVision. What is love if not something persevering?
Yeah,
what is it?
Yeah, something like that.
It's like the culmination
of
love is grief. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, that's heavy.
It's good stuff. And even just like you get the flashback where she's talking to him before he passes, and she's like, "You got to take care of our son." He's like, "It's better for him that I'm not in his life," or something. Like you can tell. Why do I keep saying Thanos? I keep wanting to say Thanos. Kratos really
Thanos on the brain.
Really just didn't know what to do, and he felt like he was just gonna fuck up this kid. And seeing that kind of just growth from what he was in the first game to this. It's so satisfying.
How much more he says, like the fact that he's like not just verbally saying stuff, but like physically putting his arm around him, bringing him close, like really trusting in him. Like it is really wild to see the growth of Kratos. Like, you know, McGinley, I don't know what you know about Kratos, but like a lot of people,
I
like,
watched
back in the day,
all of the videos.
really
like,
disliked Kratos because he was this one-tone character. I'm just gonna kill fucking.
I'm angry.
No depth. No.
But they really
it's all based on revenge.
Bring that into the canon because that's true.
It's what he was.
It's not. It's not.
Well,
just
he's directly referencing these events, like they're asking about it for
right.
sure.
And
Mimir's
like, he's
always
talking
asking
about
about
Calliope and Deimos.
Pandora's
like
box.
They're talking about like the PSP game.
Yeah.
Like they're really getting in deep here, and it's like I'm no God of War original trilogy and those spin-off fans. Like I was a little bit too young to be playing them.
Right.
I fun fact, when I was a kid, I went with my mom to GameStop and she got me God of War, and my dad was mad that they got it and he made me return it.
I mean, it's pretty gory when.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no,
And
there's tits everywhere, right?
fucking-
And shit
wow.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
Kratos
insane.
bangs a lot of people. Man.
yeah.
Wow.
He loves
Yeah.
them women there.
His goatee's way pointier. He looks cooler.
Yeah,
It's fun- I saw a mod.
it's just like a chin.
It was him. It was like with him with his classic beard, and seeing him without his beard so weird.
Yeah.
It looks
Yeah.
good. It still looks great. He looks awesome.
Sparta.
But yeah, it's just so funny seeing that.
Yeah, we were talking about Faye. Yeah, like it's kind of cool.
They gave
like,
us just enough of
They
her,
kept that
in my
character
opinion.
like
Agreed.
still a big mystery.
Yeah.
and like I would even question. It's like, you know, like why did Kratos even do all this? It seems really odd.
I was gonna
Why
say.
did he do what? Like
why did he
Move.
like
First of all, how did he get there? I know that's not something. It's not relevant.
I think it literally
like,
is.
fine.
I think all the continents literally exist, and all the gods live take
Okay.
care of those
All right,
continents. So I
so
think he literally
he just went
sailed
from-
off into another
Right,
land,
no,
and
yeah.
he showed up in Norway or
went
wherever
from
he
Greece
is
to. Right.
the Scandinavian countries.
What's the last thing that happens in like the God of War games?
I think he like falls off a cliff, and it just like it shows just the open ocean.
it's
and it,
just
like, cuts.
it's the end of God of War 3.
Yeah.
Nothing goes past that.
Is that
Right?
That's
Yeah,
a
no.
PS3
But
game,
it
or is that
just
like
basically-
That's a PS3 game.
I think
yeah.
it ends very much. You don't see him die, but like he kills all of like
Yeah, he
the
kills the
entire
Greek
Greece is in like
pantheon.
Is that when he
disarray
kills
because all
Zeus
the
or whatever?
Yeah.
Zeus is the last.
Yeah, Greece, like you look out over Greece and it's like, you know, shit's going down, like lightning's crashing, all this stuff, and it looks like shit's in disarray.
Yeah, Kratos
and it
kills
just
the
fades out.
entire Greek pantheon.
Yeah.
He
There's more
kills them
gods
all.
out there to kill. So
Yeah,
Well, that's it.
and I love how we get that through the collectibles in Midgard. It's like, you know, you get this knife and the Ankh.
Give me the Mayan God of War, God damn it, that would be fucking
Mayans.
awesome. I would love that shit so much.
I'm not gonna say this is an original idea.
Egyptian.
Egyptian I'd take. but-
Dustin Furman from Sacred Symbols said this. What if the next game was like, instead of like Kratos going to gods come to him?
No, I was thinking.
Oh.
I mean, dude, they definitely set that up at the end of this. They're
right,
like, because they'd
'cause
be
he
like,
is
"Who
the
is this
god
new
of-
god we heard of?" And
Right.
what is he the god of peace? Like, what is
God
his
of
new?
peace.
Yeah.
Kratos.
got a piece.
And it was,
The
dude, that
ghost of
moment of him
Sparta.
opening up the last
I
shrine.
got choked up a little
It
bit.
was great, and him just being like, "Oh fuck!"
It was all prophesied.
He was about to.
Well,
cry.
so that was Lao Fei's she wrote over the prophecy because it was originally supposed to be him dead there with Thor. Like that's painted over,
right,
like
and
the old
Odin
one.
being Atreus's.
And the whole kind of realization
father
that
figure.
Faye
Or-
wanted to stop them from knowing the rest of their prophecy,
Yeah,
so that way they could make their own of it.
yeah,
It's
fate breaker.
it's so good.
Yeah. That armor set at the end of the game. By the way, when you were talking about like cosmetic skins, that moment was like, oh fuck, I gotta wear this armor
wore
that
it.
might be worse. Oh no, I can just rescan it. Okay, cool.
True. But I mean, I just use it. I was
that
like,
was the
I'm
first-
not.
yeah,
Like,
that was the
I don't
first
know.
time I got
You
it.
know, it's
Yeah.
like easy enough that you don't
Yeah,
really.
everyone's
need
got a
to-
match. You know,
For
everyone's
sure.
got a match.
Right.
Yeah. What did you guys think about the different worlds in general? Like just art design wise? Because I
Vanaheim was-
really thought Vanaheim was awesome. Asgard surprised me in a really good way.
How mundane it was.
How much it makes total sense with what they've been going for so far. But yeah,
Right.
I definitely thought it was going to be much more ornate
And
and
you're
like
not there
mythical.
that much,
No,
right?
you aren't.
So
You only
it's
see it
like
a
they
little
probably
bit.
didn't. Yeah.
But it wasn't what I was expecting in a good way.
climbing
And
the wall was fun.
was cool for
Yeah.
sure.
So
Good intro.
my
Yeah.
only critique to the open worlds compared to the first one is I really was still mad Niflheim and Muspelheim are still like the arena worlds. I'm like,
you do
I know
get to
we
explore
Can't do
Muspelheim a
all,
little
but
bit.
yeah, but
You do.
I
You actually
know.
explored both of them a tiny bit more for
and
sure.
same with Helheim. It's
Yeah.
like it's still like okay,
Yeah.
it's the story world. You don't
Right.
like. There's a little bit of
you
optional.
get the flower.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you get the flower.
That was the worst. That was the worst side
yeah.
quest.
And I was
honestly.
just like,
I was like, what?
I don't know, man. I would have like take the Vanaheim stuff, put it in another world.
Like the crater, you're saying?
Yeah, the crater part.
Yeah.
Like I think that it could have just been divvied up, and it would have been the same amount of content,
just more spread out.
It was served to me a little bit differently, and I probably would have liked it more.
That makes sense.
That's fair.
When we were talking about the UI, the compass and the map suck balls.
Why?
The compass doesn't work.
Yeah, the compass was the worst.
It does not work.
Oh, see, I found it annoying when you were on open water.
Yes.
I felt like it worked very well when you were actually on land, but when you were sailing around, it was so annoying because you didn't know what was going on.
And the map looks pretty useless.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I found it to be some reasonably easy to get around to where I needed to.
Sometimes when it's like, all right,
it's general location.
It's definitely. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a bit more art over, a bit more style over.
From a first-party studio like Sony Santa Monica that's rolling in Sony's money, you would expect like their UI would be like better. You know, it's very simple stuff.
It's definitely not the worst one I've seen, though.
I think Colin was saying it on Sacred Symbols that he was like, maybe they've just been in it for so long they forgot what good looked like.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it looks fine. I really like the UI. I really don't mind it that much.
Like it's not terrible, but like the compass and the map and the menu with
worst
the equipment.
Paddling. I was like, oh my
god.
No,
I really think we need to figure out something, because it's funny. We were talking in the Discord. I think it was Fred. He was like, compass is worse than a map, and I'm like, I'll take a compass over a mini map any day of the week. But I do wish there were more. What's the word I'm looking for? Just natural ways to push you to these things,
more
rather than
immersive,
just
to go back.
Yeah, than just to kind of look around. Because there were
UI,
definitely a few final collectibles that I just looked up. I was just like, I'm just looking.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like, but I will say, like a good chunk of them I got by myself.
And
I really felt like I
playing
didn't
the
need
story
to do
for the most part.
Yeah.
If you do all the favors, like it's pretty much you're gonna.
But yeah.
I was like, some of the favorite ghosts, like their mouths didn't even move.
I know. It's the same. No, they just took that. They took that from the last game for sure.
Yeah, that was the same way in the last one.
It looked exactly the same.
But I was just like.
Try a little bit.
First party studio. I'll hold them to the top.
But again,
that's what they
I think that's so easy to me that feels like a just direct choice to me in the act of like, no, that's just how these ghosts look. They don't speak to you like that. They are just amorphous things. I don't. It just seems like something so easy to do that they aren't making like. But that's fair. I get what you guys are saying.
Yeah.
Like,
but
just make their mouths move.
And some do talk.
Yeah, no,
do they? I didn't notice.
Some do and some don't.
A lot of the ghosts talk
like their mouths move.
Those were the.
I didn't notice those.
Those are the favors I like the least.
I agree.
Right.
Find this trinket. Find my son. Like I'm like, oh
go
my
find
god.
the second half.
But it propels you to find the gear and all that stuff.
Explore.
So you got to do it.
I will say, just overall, the story itself, I think, is an easy breezy.
10 out of 10.
I definitely think
some
of the side stuff gets a bit more in the weed, like we said, but. I don't know. I really didn't. I was happy to go back for some reason. I don't know what it was.
High standard. Like it's one of the best games. It's game of the year. Whatever. Like
for sure.
You got to critique them.
I mean, it's won plenty of game of the. It's not the Game Awards game of the year, but it's a nomination. And
did the last God of War win?
Yes, game of the year.
Yeah.
It did.
Okay.
And that was my thing. I was like, a sequel to a game of the year is always living up to a lot.
No, absolutely.
They teed it up really well.
Well, no, and I do think deservedly the first one that really kind of fucking shook up the change got the game of the year. Yeah. This one I wouldn't have been fine if it won, but
like what could they have done better? Yes, you can nitpick.
They made an amazing story. That was really the key thing here.
Yeah,
and they improved upon the gameplay where it made sense. Yeah,
just enough to make it so fun.
I did miss the heavy axe attack a little bit. They changed it a tiny bit.
Yeah,
and the first one you'd kind of like chop into them really hard, but in this it was more like a spinning thing where you just knock them away. That was my only kind of gripe with it.
Did you guys use the Storm of the Bifrost thing a lot?
Which
that was pretty much my go-to.
In my end game,
it's like in the amulet of Yigurt.
Yggdrasil or whatever.
Yeah, it's one of the amulet things.
It's like you could, if you do different runic attacks of like each different weapon, it makes them.
I probably got it. I just didn't even.
You have to do 3 consecutively, and the Storm
within like 5 seconds or something.
Interesting.
And it's actually it was really good. When I was looking up like stuff how to beat some of the harder berserkers, it was like use this. It was fun.
So. Going back to the narrative, what did you guys think about? Let's talk about Brock and Sindri.
You literally just took the words out of my mouth.
Sindri,
second time, right? Yeah, we're on the same page,
buddy. Like was a star in this game. I just want to put that out. Getting the ball rolling here.
I really liked his character, but I really questioned where he went in the end. It almost seemed like he was.
The turn did seem a little bit abrupt to me.
Yeah.
I agree. It
felt like really hateful.
It was funny. I was listening to like the director talk about it, and I kind of get what they're saying.
Did you listen to him on Kind of Funny?
It might have been. It was like a clip of him. I can't remember. I don't think it was because I feel like I would have recognized it. But he was just talking about how like that's the idea of the giving tree, and like you give and give and give until you have nothing, and then you become
like left with nothing.
You're left with nothing, and I get that to a degree. But I think like I feel like he's almost taking out of the fact that they were fighting something that's like was gonna kill them all. Like, I don't know. I feel like he had just as much.
There was an end game
here. Much in the fight, I feel like, as they did.
Obviously, Atreus didn't want Brock to die. It's not like he like, Brock did it on purpose. Yeah. It's like all these events just kind of culminated with that tragedy, and it's just like
no one saw it coming. How could you see that?
Right, like you also let him into your home. Like it's not all on Atreus and Kratos.
Yeah.
I just feel like his hatred and his anger was almost
very misdirected. I think.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's how people deal with real life grief. And
you can make that a story point for sure. I just wish it was more. It was illustrated a bit better,
or a little bit more closure.
That's exactly it.
You're not going to forgive Atreus, and you're just never going to see him again. You know, I don't know. You guys were best friends.
Well, and that leads me to think that there is more to tell.
We talked about the Brock moment a little bit with Draupnir, but finding out that he had died and
crazy
1/4 of his soul was not recovered, so he's technically not whole.
Is that why he's blue, or is that just a thing? That's why he's blue.
Yes.
No, I thought it was.
They're just different dwarfs.
No, I don't think that's. Do they say that?
Yep.
When do they say that?
Because that's why when
in the first one he mentions the smithing, it's because he was smithing a specific way.
That's a lie.
Well, maybe he
that's
was
a lie. But I thought that's okay.
I think that's what they say.
Dude, when he goes into Nidavellir,
Nidavellir,
the dwarves run away from him.
Well, but they run away from both of them because they don't like them. That's what he says.
No, Sindri's not there with them. Nope.
No, yeah. See, according to Sindri, Bok's skin has turned blue due to exposing himself to silver metal as he worked on using it for. That's not why they run away. He says they run away from all of them.
But they say in it his skin is they specifically.
I don't.
Sindri's also lying to him.
No, I know, but
maybe the first game they used that as the
and maybe they just but
maybe
this all feels so. I don't think so. I really think it's because of the smithing thing, or is it?
No, I think it is.
It's because so now that was on the official God of War wiki. But now it's saying on the Reddit, this guy is saying he is blue because of what Gooch is saying. So let's see.
Open to debate.
Oh, so this
is wrecked.
Oh no, so this is just
it's a retcon.
No, it's not a retcon. It's his theory. It's not saying that he says it in the game.
Well, Reddit's always right.
Yeah. If I've learned anything, Reddit is always correct. Yeah, I think it's because he's smithing, but that would make sense too if it is because it's part of the soul's missing.
Yeah, and the moment he finds out, and Kratos is like,
Kratos handles it like a boss.
Yeah, he's like, he kills you could only see if you had a soul. And then he's like, fuck Knuckles.
Fuck Knuckles.
He's like, that son of a bitch lied to me.
He's like, I did die.
And then he's like, and he still gets his blessing, and he like spits on it.
What does he say as they're climbing up? They're like, it's not about like what something is, but it's what it means or something like that.
And he doesn't get to go to heaven though.
He uses it right back at him.
It's about its nature.
It's about the nature, not about.
I wish I knew the quote.
It was really good.
There are some amazing lines in this for sure. Absolutely. I'm trying to think.
The culmination of love,
Loki will go.
Of love is grief is like
something like that.
The one that like kind of hit me.
Yeah.
I also really liked the wolves, and obviously, Fenrir in the beginning was, if you know anything about Ragnarok, Fenrir is a big part of it.
Right.
And it was like seeing it was like, huh?
I didn't know if it was just like a coincidence, kind of like they just used the same name.
No, yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
What are they doing different here? And like, since my dog just died, having a dog die in the beginning of the game, I'm like, I need this right
God
now.
damn it, yeah.
And you don't even notice that, like, he does some type of magic, right?
Well, that's the thing. That's what again. They're very good at laying.
He takes his soul into the knife, and then that's how Garm becomes Fenrir, and then we see the Fenrir we know,
which was
a
awesome.
Big wolf.
I genuinely can't. It won't be for a while, but I will replay this at some point, and it's going to be nice to go back and pick up on those little things,
or like the Tyr Odin stuff.
And exactly, and even in God of War 1, I sent this to our Discord. You can see which
you can join in the description.
Yes, you can see the Jotunheim Tower off the side of the place in between or whatever. When you go through the portal and you're walking on that path. If you walk to that edge where like you jump off later in the game, you can see down in the bottom. You can see the tower that's missing. So like
that's cool.
It's little things that like they definitely planted throughout this. I cannot wait to go back and really kind of pick apart.
What did you think about at the end how they finally get to Ironwood or whatever, right? Like Mimir, Freya, you can go to.
Oh right,
you go to. I mean, you don't do it
nice
just to get the flower,
interesting.
right? They're the only reason to go.
And that's technically in Jotunheim, which I didn't.
It is in Jotunheim.
It's a dream.
No, I thought that's how you get to it, but it's a physically real place in Jotunheim.
True, because when you go up that elevator thing, you're like,
and that level's pretty cool. Like you go up like the giants, like
talk about visuals,
guess, like a rotting corpse and like the belt buckle,
and you can see the peaks in the back. You can see the five
where
fingers.
They were.
Yep. really cool stuff. Again, world design in this is top tier for me.
What was I just gonna say?
Least favorite world that you can actually explore. I know that's a lame question.
Yeah.
I didn't like Svartalheim, I guess, just because of how you have to navigate the beginning, going through all the
and getting back to the thing.
I don't think I have a least favorite.
That's
Sure.
fair.
To be quite honest.
That's fair.
So what I was speaking of Svartalheim, another dislike I had. I really wish, and this is I guess a request for the next game. I really want to explore some towns with some actual people in it.
Sure.
I don't like how here we
There's
go.
definitely more people
Everyone
in
runs
this,
away, and
yeah.
it's an empty town.
Yeah.
And it happened. And
That reminds me of, like, Arkham.
In Asgard, like you don't get to just run through that town. Like you get main
your
path
hand
through
held
it.
through
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And I'm just like, where are
don't
the
get to do
like,
anything.
even in like I haven't played the original God of Wars, but I know you see a lot of people getting killed in the original God of War. So for the next one, if there's going to be a next one, which I guess there is, I would love to see whoever the playable character is interact with normal people
For sure.
And
I definitely think you got
interact with
more
the
of that
town.
in this game compared to the first one. But yeah, I would like to see
because
more
like
of that.
even
There
the first
was,
one
there
has that
was.
issue of like you really feel
They're all monsters, yeah.
Midgard is Earth, but you're like not really on Earth. You're
Well, there's
in
just
this-
no one around. Everyone's
Right,
hiding
there's
or
nobody
something.
around.
You don't
and it's
know
like
what's...
okay, like you're fighting like the bandits, but they're not real people. Like they're not.
Well, but
normal.
they
the
exactly. Well,
raiders
yeah,
or
it's like
whatever.
those are the only real humans you
they're
see.
enemies.
Yeah, but
they're
they
not.
are
They're not
enemies,
like okay, I go to town and here's the people.
Right.
Yeah. So that was like because I was annoyed. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, we're going to a town and we're gonna see dwarves. Nah, they're all running away.
Yeah. You talk to that one guy,
Yeah, you talk to one dude,
And the bartender.
one guy in this whole fucking
Derlin,
town.
and then yeah.
yeah.
So, was there... I feel like we covered most of the side content. I'm trying to think. Bosses.
We didn't really talk about the dragons, but we were
Dragons
talking
was
about
yeah,
fun.
so like again,
that kind
a
of just
lot of
happened. I
yeah,
was like,
exactly.
oh,
Those are
I was
little,
like,
those
yeah.
are little.
And then
boss
again, I
fights.
was just like, oh my god, there's 6 dragons here. Are you fucking kidding
And
me?
half of them aren't even dragons. One of them's like, I mean, it's a dragon, but it's just wasn't he just
Draki?
like a, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was like,
I really
fighting
liked,
2 at once was hard actually.
I liked the fight in the Drakis. They
Yeah.
were pretty
yeah,
cool. Like
yeah.
that
And
the first
end
time you
scenes were
encounter
so
one.
cool when you kill like the
Again,
kills.
much
Yeah.
more variety, enemy wise
yeah.
and boss wise for sure. This game because the last one it was like Valkyries, trolls,
That's it.
and that's like it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
So
lot of
Balder.
and Balder, yeah. So
Fight Baldur like 8 times.
yeah.
was there a
fight,
part
like,
of the
12
story that you guys felt dragged at all, or do you felt like it real? Like because I really didn't
Ironwood.
feel like there was a
Besides
one.
Ironwood.
Ironwood, that was kind of the big one. Okay, no, that makes sense. To
I
me.
feel like
Finding Tyr.
I think the beginning actually gets going pretty quickly.
the
thankfully.
beginning and the end are the best. The middle is kind of like where the game like stagnates a
little
bit
stretched.
because you're just
Yeah.
like you're doing things and things keep happening and you're getting sidetracked a little bit, but like you're still doing the same thing. You're just not
Sure.
getting there. And then we're here.
Yeah.
It's like it finally culminates in figuring things out. And again, like the Atreus stuff just seemed like oddly paced to me in the beginning,
Sure.
and then as we went along,
It kind of settled in.
like
a bit
when
more.
we went back to Muspelheim with Thor and then Niflheim with War, I like those levels a lot better.
Yeah.
Like the first 3, I just did not.
I thought the Asgard levels were fine. Like, well, yeah, like exactly. Well, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I see what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Like, you're in
Yeah,
Asgard first,
They
and then you
weren't.
go
They
to-
weren't as. Yeah,
yeah,
that
right.
makes sense. Cool.
trying to think of anything else.
Freya.
The Vanaheim part, like I mentioned.
Freya. We didn't really talk about her much.
Yeah,
at all.
Freya.
Curveball, you think Freya's like? I mean, I don't
Bad.
know.
Yeah,
In the
it makes sense.
They teased the game like Freya's gonna be like pretty much the main antagonist.
Well, yeah, at least one of the major things you're gonna have
Right,
to get through.
You
Right.
know, you start off the game. By the way, I would have loved to get that fucking cloak again. I hate how it comes off right in the beginning of the game and he never puts it back on.
Oh,
What
yeah,
cloak?
the
yeah,
fur. The fur cloak.
Oh, because
yeah.
it looks dope.
Yeah, it's on the cover of the game. Fucking. Oh, like, what the hell?
Oh,
Come on,
yeah.
guys.
I hate when games do that kind of shit.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
can't even customize it too. Like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would have
it's really
loved
all
to,
just the
to
armor.
get it back or something like that.
Yeah,
or
but,
like he's wearing it when it's cold.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I did like how they treated Freya, though. I kind of like how she kind of...
She had her own character.
She had her... She was annoyed, but she came around to the right school of thought of, like, this isn't because of...
And-
again, I almost just said Thanos. This isn't because of Kratos. This is because of Odin. He
Yeah.
has caused all this, and that whole time that whole portion where you're going through Vanaheim with her.
I was just
and
gonna
she's
say-
asking her about Calliope.
That
and-
side stuff felt integral
Very
to
integral.
get from A to B.
Yeah,
you
well,
know?
but that was.
And
I
it's
think that
side
was a
stuff.
main. I think that was a main part. You had to do that part of the story to do it to advance.
Like the sword part. I don't think.
Oh
you
no,
did.
not this, but the part where you go to free her from Vanaheim, where it's like,
Oh
'cause
yeah,
she's tied
yeah.
down.
But like the sword thing also felt like
Oh,
a
yeah.
part of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Where you had
definitely.
to get when you heard the sword that she married Odin,
For
and,
sure.
and you're getting that background.
Yeah.
And it is really interesting to hear about these like events. It's like, well, like like, when was this good? Like, it always seemed like, was it always this bad?
Well, and
or,
she
like,
does mention even like Mimira in the last game. They're like, there was a time where Odin seemed to be pretty cool, and like everything was going well.
And
but
Mimira
then,
was married to like Sigrun, and you're finding stuff out about her.
That was fun.
I like how they made it canon that you actually killed all of them, and they talk about it. Very rare where games kind of like actually call upon like side quests like that and like refer to the fact that you actually did it.
for sure.
Was Sigrun the head Valkyrie in the last game?
Yeah.
And then they
she's
go
in
to
this game.
they come back, and why are they still? Well, I guess you don't.
Why are they still
kill
alive?
Well,
them.
because
they
he
can't
gives
die.
them like corporeal forms again or something like that. He
Right.
says because like I guess the Valkyries and the Einhorjar can just be sent back if they die.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely the Einhorjar, but
Right.
yeah.
Same concept. I think.
Got it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And he
Yeah.
resurrected some and then made new ones.
I will
Yeah.
say the Gna fight would have annoyed me more if there were more Valkyrie fights again throughout this whole game. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
I felt like I was fine with
By
it
the
just
end.
because
The two-
we hadn't really done that really
The
much at all.
two where you do the Surtur part.
On like the edge of the world or whatever it is.
Yeah,
That
I
was
forget
good.
the name
That
of
was
that.
fun.
It's like the
The
crucible
nexus
of the world.
of the universe.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
it's
that.
something
along those
cool.
lines.
the
It's all
edge of
purple.
destiny or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
I'm not sure there's much to talk about Surtur.
No,
No,
it was just
it was
interesting.
pretty-
Again,
it was
very
cool.
cool to just interact with that. I like the way they
Rips
did
open
it.
his chest,
he like
there's my heart.
displays his
This
chest.
is gonna hurt.
Yeah. No, again, like
I didn't
just
know-
great uses of Norse mythology.
I didn't know Ragnarok was like a being.
Yeah, I didn't know that
Like,
either.
I thought
how that
Ragnarok was like the
An
name
event.
of
Well,
the event.
I thought
But, like,
Surtur just comes and
he's Ragnarok.
plunges.
Like,
He is Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Right, he is
He
this
becomes
like
Ragnarok.
a being called Ragnarok. I'm like, oh, I never really
Because
interpreted it like
he's
that.
supposed to join together with like the ice giant, right? Because it's like his
wife.
lover.
His-
Yeah, his
yeah,
wife.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, very cool, interesting uses of Norse mythology where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you know what? I want to look into that a little bit more, maybe, or who knows?
So you know the Lunda, the dwarf blacksmith.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
who plays her?
Oh, it's fucking
the AT&T
I was gonna
girl.
say it's
No
yeah,
way.
Very odd character for her to be playing.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah. Very.
Wait, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
I was looking up. There's a
I
lot
saw someone
of
shared that.
pretty
yeah.
famous people in this game.
I said it before, but immaculate casting.
Yeah.
Oh
really
yeah.
good
I mean, it
casting.
kind of sucked. A couple things suck about the after game. Well, one, you don't get to talk to Brock and Sindri every time you go.
That
to
does
your,
suck.
Yeah, she
Right.
replaces
You don't even get
them.
Sindri after Brock dies,
Yeah.
and then also just not having Atreus around for the banter. But I mean, it's what
You
it
do
is.
get some good stuff between him and Freya for sure. Too.
Agreed.
Yeah. How did
Yeah.
you guys feel about having her as like a full-on companion?
I mean,
was-
let's
it was
good.
talk
Say that.
about like all the companions.
Yeah, it's
Brock,
true.
Sindri.
I was kind of hoping there'd be a
Freya,
time when you're Atreus and you can
Atreus.
play with Kratos. Like,
Yeah, that
I guess
would've
that
been
kind of
interesting.
happens
Thor
a
and-
little bit.
A little
and
bit, yeah.
Thrud. Yeah, I thought that was really unexpected to get all these different companions and
Brock
having
and Sindri
Freya as
side
a,
characters.
as a companion and be
Yeah.
able to customize their looks a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, yeah.
And they have like accessories, which again
summons.
didn't really matter. The summons were definitely key, but like the accessories
Or the sword.
didn't really matter.
The
all
one
that
sword
much.
was like Bifrost. the other
Yeah,
one was
and
like
Atreus's bows. I really liked the how they
Soundstone and
yeah,
And the hex.
what's
Pink
word I'm
and the
looking
hex
for?
arrow or
What's the word I'm
whatever.
looking for?
The pink, I can't
not
remember what it's called.
exemplified. Expanded upon.
Oh, from the last game?
The mechanic of
Yeah.
the companion
Yeah.
there.
Did you guys think the like puzzles and stuff in general were good? And
Like,
the way you
yeah,
had to
nothing-
implement most of that
nothing-
stuff, nothing
stuff.
really. Yeah. And even one thing that confused me at first was the pink arrows.
Yeah.
Where I didn't realize that's
Yeah.
how you
Yep.
use it. But
Yep.
once I
Took
got
me
it
a
down, I was like,
while.
oh, this makes sense now.
I don't
Okay.
think it took me long, but like I was like, well, like,
Yeah, it did.
how do
It was
I-
just
They don't
more,
really
I had to sit
explain
there
it
for a
that
few minutes.
well.
I'm like,
Oh,
wait,
I
what
gotta
do you
like
mean?
stack
you...
them up. And,
right, and you
Yeah.
can hit it 3 times and it makes it.
But if you
bigger.
do that, then they disappear after a
Right.
certain amount of
Yeah,
time. So,
right, yeah.
no, I think this game has a very amazing balance of gameplay and story, and adding stuff in like that to kind of spice it up and not just
Sure.
be all combat.
I'm trying
So.
to think if there like I'm not I mean if we're at our end, we're at our end. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
I feel like we've really covered
Huge.
it. Odin, again, I think he was an amazing villain in this.
Yeah,
I
but
think he had
I
a
guess
lot of depth.
I was like, is there anything within Ragnarok? I guess like Thor's death and then
Yeah, we see
Yeah,
Thor.
they did him dirty a little bit. But
Yeah, no,
he
but
finally
again,
turned around.
I
and then
like
it's
that moment of again
what are you calling him Thanos?
Kratos saying just like, no, I'm not doing this. We must be better. Like we have to be better for our children.
Yeah.
And it's it hit. It
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
It was really great. And then just Odin, and he just says no to Odin. He just immediately kills him.
Yeah, I know.
It was so
was
great.
like,
He's
No, he gives him like one chance.
well, no, but then as soon as he goes, no, it's almost, I feel like it was almost like,
Instantaneous.
yeah, like
He's
all
like,
right,
yeah,
he's
you're
dead. And that again was a great illustrative of like
Odin.
it's this weird old frail man, but he's fucking powerful.
Yeah.
So,
and it's good.
In Norse mythology, what is Odin looking for? Is that
Knowledge. It is. I think
Yeah.
that is really
but
the
like,
big thing.
of what?
of everything. Just he
how
wants
everything-
he wants to know
Right.
everything.
I mean,
That's why he
he's
hangs
the
him-
wanderer.
That's
right?
why he hangs himself by the tree and takes out his eye, because it's supposed to. That's what gives him like
The
upper
sight.
knowledge and like gives him the sight and
Upper knowledge, I like that.
yeah,
That's
the
like very
upper knowledge.
bloodborne.
I don't know. That's not a correct term, but you can. I'll
Upper
trademark
knowledge,
that.
I like
Upper
that.
knowledge.
Upper knowledge.
Yeah, no, I think he is just kind of a jerk, and I think he's just a knowledge seeker, and he wants to have the upper hand on everything. I mean, that's why he's going after the Vanir. He wants to know their magic. I thought it was interesting that Agrabota starts using. He's like, "Oh, that's Vanir magic." She's like, "Well, who do you think they learned it from?" And it seems like the Giants truly were one of the most powerful races like in this entire universe, and so I guess most of them are gone. If not all, there's like the one that there's her grandma living there still.
Yeah.
That was a fun boss. I mean,
Yeah, I
that was
actually
like
like that boss a lot.
That was like the
Very
easiest.
cutesy
It was
boss.
very interesting.
Yes, that was fun.
Like shoot the pot. It felt like honestly like a Kingdom Hearts boss.
Yeah,
it really
especially
did.
because it was like you're really small and she's really big.
Exactly.
Like it
It
felt
was like a Jack and the Beanstalk kind of thing.
Or, yeah, I
Absolutely.
was gonna say Alice in Wonderland, because you
Yeah.
literally in the Kingdom Hearts level in Alice in Wonderland, you fight this like big trickster boss, and you're like small.
You're like toy size, right?
Right,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Alice when she shrinks down, and that's kind of what that reminded me of. Yeah, and Sindri, it's funny that like out of how many gods Kratos has killed, like they decide to not kill Odin, and it's like you're instantly like, this is a fucking mistake, and Sindri comes out of nowhere
Just with a hammer. And it disappears
He's like,
immediately.
that's how we do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I'm fucking out of here.
Yep.
That was awesome.
And Odin is no more.
Yeah.
And the mask. Jim Carrey's The Mask is gone.
Yeah.
Right, so
Push
that's,
back.
this game is a prequel to the match.
It is a prequel to The Mask.
Yes.
That's how it got to Midgard, and it's just exists. Yeah.
I think the last there was one character we didn't talk about, the Midgardian kid.
Oh yeah, I didn't care.
Oh, what was
Pretty
yeah.
interesting.
Was he a real person? Like,
No, but it was
Norse
an
mythology?
interesting foil to like give Atreus here's the normal boy character.
No, definitely.
And he like interacts with him.
It was
and,
cool to see him, and even like there's one
Interesting.
part he was like, "It's just nice to talk to kids my age," and you're like, "Oh yeah, he's just living with his dad."
Yeah, when he talks
You
when he
know
talks
what I
to
mean?
Mimir about like liking Thrud, and Kratos is like, "Do you like this girl?"
Yeah.
Great stuff. Again,
I thought he
amazing
liked that
band.
It's like,
Totally.
dude, you fuck hard, Kratos.
Yeah.
Why are you talking like such a prude?
Apparently I didn't see it. There was a couple, like I think I saw it like on YouTube or something, but it's like if you go back to Sindri's house, like there's more dialogue. Obviously there's more dialogue.
Oh yeah,
everywhere.
for sure.
There's some hidden.
It is
like,
funny he lets you still live in his house after the whole thing
Ratatoskr.
too. Oh yeah, Ratatoskr.
Yeah.
Really great
Ratatoskr.
little extra.
was
I
fun.
liked him for what he was.
but like very side.
I
Yeah.
liked his little personality.
I did
squirrels.
too.
That was fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just a weird little
Seasons
just
of
chipmunk
the
man.
stag
Yeah.
seasons, whatever.
Yeah,
I don't
they were
know.
cool.
That was fine.
Yeah, but guys, is that anything else on God of War Ragnarok?
I thought it was cool when Thor, the first fight, when he like you die and then it's like the screen
thank
comes
you.
up and he's like,
Thank you for
and
bringing
he's
it up.
like, nope, like
Not this time.
No, you don't die until I say
I
so.
usually hate it when games do that. Personally,
That's like
when they like
that's like
kill
a
you as a
Kojima thing.
Well, yeah, I feel like
know,
once in a while
I
you
like
see a
it a
game
lot.
that kills you, like you can't beat it. It's like at the beginning of even Star Wars Fallen Order. I think you can't beat her
Right.
at the beginning, which I get it. It worked very
Or
well
like,
there, and I did like that.
Genichiro
but it was
in
cool.
the beginning
Yeah.
of Sekiro. Like even if you beat it, you die.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like it was a real like fourth wall break for the game. Like very like I said, very like Kojima style. Like I'm gonna kill you. Just kidding. I'm gonna resurrect you.
Yeah, it was
like
awesome.
while you're in the
There were
middle of the screen to die.
You just made me thought of something. There were definitely like multiple references by them to this being a video game in like little ways, which I kind of like. Like there was, I can't remember exactly what they said, but they would be literally like things like that you would say out loud and be like, oh well, fuck. There's
Or
a
like-
few examples
like
of
the
it.
Cavassier poems, like
They
too,
almost,
like,
they almost
yeah.
like it's a bit self-referential. It's not like super fourth wall breaking.
Yeah.
But they say like a few little things that just made me chuckle and made it, feel a bit more video gamey,
Like I
which
said,
is fine.
the comedy in this game is good. Like
It's well
they
it's well
inject it
measured.
where it needs to. Certain characters are more comedic characters, but like Mimir is also like very serious sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And
they
even
run
like
But again,
Kratos has, I almost said it again, Kratos has like a few great
with
little lines.
Agrabota.
Yeah.
I like this girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Like
That
very
was good.
like very
Very
uncharacteristic of him.
well.
but-
It's funny. It's like they're in his character for sure, but they
Yeah.
work comedically for some reason.
right.
It's great.
And again, when you have the time and all this dialogue to do this, like unlike I know I feel like when we always critique shit, I always go back to Marvel. Unlike Marvel, where it's like, okay, this character's a joke. They only have 2.5 hours to like do anything with them. We
Right.
have like a 70-hour game to inject all this dialogue, and whether you hear it or not, it's there. But like,
They use those-
these characters are really fleshed out in all sorts of avenues.
they use that source of levity very well. Like that's the sign of a good story, in my opinion. They know when to to let you have a chuckle when need be. Not everything needs that, of course, but it's even like the Batman. There's one scene in that where it's like he pulls out and it's like thumb drive, and it's like the thumb attached to the thumb drive, and I'm like, that was like darkly funny for some reason.
Yeah,
but it's not
the penguin scene. He's like, La Rada. Don't you guys speak Spanish?
Come on, yeah.
It's
and then he's just waddling away.
What are you
doing? Great stuff. Again, when that stuff's used well, it's great.
Right.
But anything else on God of War, guys? Ragnarok.
I think that's it, man.
We touched.
I think we basically did hit everything. You know, we'll probably miss something. There will always be something. But folks, if you've been watching with us live on twitch.tv/Delco Nerd Network, we very much appreciate you joining us. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are found. Just search Delco Nerd Network. We're on all your favorite social media pages as well. At Delco Nerds on basically everything. We got a Discord channel. We got a Facebook page. That's all linked down below as well. You can find all this information on our website, DelcoNerdNetwork.com. You can email us with your comments, questions, or concerns, DelcoNerds@gmail.com. We'd be happy to get back to you. But for Gooch, for Nick, I've been Trio. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay nerdy, and we will see you next time.
See you in 2023.